What is up, CSGs? Happy Juneteenth to everybody. And yeah, what's up? How y'all boys been? I've been enjoying my summer. Decided to make a video to kind of speak on, some of the things going on with the Rockets. Just found out today Ime Udoka was extended by the Houston Rockets. I'll talk about that a little bit. Also talk about, the elephant in the room, the KD trade rumors, the implications for the team, the different packages being offered. Who should we trade? Who should we not trade, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to talk about all of that in this video. Tap in right now. Enjoy. The Rockets Chop Shop is your one-stop shop for all your basketball needs, for highlights, analysis, podcasts. We do it all here at the Rockets Chop Shop. Make sure you hit the like button on the videos that you watch if you enjoy them. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications from all the great drops that we have on the channel. Also, you can visit the Chop Shop merch store and get you some of the swaggiest gear in the Houston Rockets kingdom. And if you want, you can always support the channel directly through donations. And if you want, you can support us through our partnerships with our sponsors. The Rockets Chop Shop is made by fans, for fans, and we're going to keep rocking and keep dropping that heat. From me. This is something I know. So it's been a pretty uneventful summer for the Rockets, aside from being in the trade rumor mills with this KD whole ordeal going on. And, I've been sitting back, not really heavily involved in all the reading and all that stuff from it, kind of enjoying my summer away from Rockets basketball. It was a really good season. And, just enjoying the summer, enjoying the finals, enjoying kind of imagining what the Rockets are going to look like going forward. And one person that is going to be there for sure is Ime Udoka, because he just got extended on his contract, and the details are still pending on this. We don't know what the actual numbers are for Ime Udoka. It might drop by the time this video is shared. We also don't know the actual length of time. He was already secured, for the Rockets, I think through the 26-27 season already. But now with this new contract, he'll be secured going forward past that. I'm sure significantly past that. I'm assuming somewhere between 3 to 5 years outside of his original contract. And obviously well-deserved. Ime Udoka has been one of the most impactful moves made by this Rockets front office since they've taken over the team. The same impact as trading away James Harden. I think that's up there as far as one inflection point was the James Harden trade, deciding to tank and all that came with that. And another inflection point is bringing on Ime Udoka, being able to sign him as a head coach for the Rockets, because from that point forward, it changed the outlook of the franchise, not only with actual basketball being played on the court, but in the perception of the NBA. He really gave us a facelift. I think he made us look like a serious team, in contrast to what we looked like under Stephen Silas and that whole regime. You start hearing some of the rumors that were being said in NBA media circles about the lack of accountability, all the things that were going on in practice, the disrespect, the fact that some players did not want to entertain the Rockets as a serious franchise to consider going to because of the players we had on the roster, the lack of structure, et cetera, et cetera. You heard former Rockets like Austin Rivers have a lot of things to say. All of that went super silent when Ime Udoka was brought into the building. And to me, it's kind of ironic and poetic in a sense that in one day he's getting extended, at the same times a great player of the caliber of Kevin Durant is entertaining the Rockets as one of his top 3 destinations to want to go play basketball. So I take that as a huge compliment, right? It's a huge compliment, and I don't think you get there if without Ime Udoka. So his contract is well-deserved. Now, obviously, there are some things that we all wish he would improve on. Mainly offense, right? The offense was pretty dreadful. The offense was pretty dreadful. We really were a team that was historically great at rebounding and played hard defense, and we were tough, and that's kind of our blueprint that we use to be able to get to 52 wins, to get to pushing the Warriors to a game 7. But ultimately, over and over in key moments, what would fail us is our offensive production, the offensive efficiency, the offensive play style and philosophy, or lack thereof. And I think that, this is something that the Rockets are trying to address. And it does tie into the Kevin Durant trade. And we could talk about that now. So with the KD thing, I've tweeted some things about it. I haven't really made a podcast. Obviously, I haven't made a podcast in like a month. But really, my feelings on KD, hell yeah, I want KD on the team. What are we talking about here? I think there's nuance to the KD discussion. It's not black and white. It's not like yes at all costs or no, never. It's kind of somewhere in the middle, right? My stance on where we are right now as a franchise, we're done with phase 1, 2, 3, whatever. We're done. We're a serious contender now. I expect the Rockets to be a playoff contender every year going forward for the next half decade or more, right? Because our players are young. Your core players, they're young. You were able to win 52 games off the backs of Alperen Sengun, Amen Thompson, Jalen Green, with a inefficient for most of the year Fred VanVleet and a up and down Dylan Brooks, and obviously a cast of role players, including Steven Adams, who also got a $39 million 3-year extension. Shout out to bro, good signing in my opinion. And most of it, our team is pretty much half 23 and under, right? And not just 23 and under sitting on the bench. This is 23 and under doing a lot of heavy lifting. And so, looking at that, I expect that to keep going forward. We have a good coach. We have a good coaching staff. We have young players that are going to progress upwards. So you don't expect that to fall off the face of the earth unless something catastrophic happened. So for this team that has done that off the backs of these young guys, trying to fix the offense shouldn't be at the cost of destroying your outlook going forward in the future. At the same time, it is a glaring hole that needs to be fixed, right? And it brings into the question of personnel. Who should you trade? I've seen trade packages involving obviously Jalen Green, which I think from the Suns' perspective, if Jalen Green was involved, it would be to match salaries. I'm not sure what all the limitations are on aggregating salaries to trade for KD. I think from what I've heard, I haven't really been reading on this, it would probably involve 3 teams where, a player goes to another team sends stuff to Phoenix, and then we get KD. With Jalen, the Jalen angle at first, I'll take on that first. One, I don't think the Suns want Jalen. Obviously, him and Devin Booker they overlap each other, and they triple overlap with Bradley Beal. Right, the Suns' issue is they don't have a well-built team. Their team isn't complementary. You have too many of the same archetype of players on your team, and it's in a position of the most, I wouldn't say meaningless, but if you're talking about building a team, a structure of a team, you can be a successful team without a scorer per se, like whose job is to just score. And I think they had 3 guys. KD was one of those guys, Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, right? You can build a functional team with, having a distributor or a creator, having 3-and-D wings that are versatile and able to play defense, having a backline defender, a big man that's able to kind of anchor down, pick and roll coverage, that back end of the defense, rotate, et cetera. With those pieces, you can have a 45 and up win team with just pretty much league average players, right? To get over the top, that's where you get the addition of the Kevin Durants, the Devin Bookers and whatnot. They had too many. I think of it like a car. If you're using an analogy of a car, KD, Devin Booker, Beal, Jalen Green, these type of players, they're rims. They're 20-inch rims on a car. You need engines, right? Right? If to take your car to the car show to win the show, they're going to look under the hood to see what you got under there. If you got bad rims, you ain't going to win. But, you know what I mean? Before you throw rims on there, you got to fix that engine up. And I think the Suns, they had an engine issue, right? Their engine was busted. A lot of nice rims, leather trim interior, sunroof, pretty car. engine was you had the engine of a Toyota Corolla. You feel me? So you can't win in the NBA like that. That is their issue, right? The Rockets, on the other hand, we have an engine, right? And Jalen's role on the team was to be the rims, right? And that is his role, to be the rims. And when they needed him to shine and glisten and spin in the playoffs, he did not do that. I already said this earlier. For him, I think that my personal view is that you want Kevin Durant and Jalen Green to be on the Rockets if you're going to get KD. The reason I say this is because Kevin Durant is 37 years old. So ideally, you want Jalen Green as Kevin Durant insurance, hoping and praying that Jalen Green keeps evolving, which you assume he will, right? And I say Kevin Durant insurance because of injuries. Kevin is 36, and he's gets hurt a lot, like he gets injured. And then you want KD as Jalen Green insurance, right? Which means that if Jalen is a player who has a psychological block when it comes to high leverage basketball, then you don't want to hamstring your team or handcuff your team to a personality like that. So to me, they can be insurance for each other. The best outcome for keeping both of them on the team would be that you have maybe 2 or 3 years of Kevin Durant on the team. He supplies you that additional need, that efficient scoring, in addition to the engine you already have with Amen, Şengün, Fred, and the rest of the characters, etc., or whoever's here, the core players. And then KD is that guy that you can give the ball to. He can score efficiently. He can generate great shots when the other team's defense is really at its peak. And that's really what it comes down to in the playoffs is, can you score on a set defense, right? And we struggle to do that, right? So in an ideal world, you get that where he's there. Kevin Durant performs as Kevin Durant. Jalen Green progressively improves, and then you hope the version of Jalen you see when he's 25, 26 years old, after the 2-3 years of KD on the team, is able to take that mantle forward while still being a productive player that's able to play defense, rebound as a guard, kind of secondary playmaker, et cetera, et cetera. That's the ideal. Now, the question is, how do you get to that point? And that is going to be the question. So there's a Jalen thing. I think there's an issue with Jalen going to the Suns because they probably don't want him. So you're going to need a third team for that. I think the Rockets probably want to keep keep Jalen with Kevin Durant. I'm sure Kevin Durant might want to play with Jalen Green, right? That's one thing. And the other angle of this, the other package that's being thrown around is going to be centered around Jabari, and another young player, probably either Reed or Cam Whitmore, with the picks. I'm assuming the picks are going to be the picks, right? You assume the Suns are going to get the 10th pick back. You assume that maybe there might be other draft compensation, but we're just going to focus on the player side of it. Now, the Jabari angle comes in. I like Jabari. You guys know I'm a huge fan of Jabari Smith Jr. I think that he is so impactful on the team. When he's rebounding and doing his thing, even in a tertiary role as a supporting player in the front court, we win, right? I looked it up. I think when Jabari has like more than 9 rebounds, that's shown me he's active. He's getting putbacks. When he has more than 9 rebounds, the Rockets are like 16-4 or something like that in those games. So Jabari is important to the makeup of the Rockets, even though the theory of him as a defensive player hasn't really reached that level yet. I like his progression. He's gotten better every single year. Is it worth losing Jabari Smith at 21, 22 years old with, Cam Whitmore or whatever for a 37-year-old Kevin Durant or 36-year-old Kevin Durant in a trade? That, to me, it's the same thing as the Jalen thing. Like, in an ideal world, if you did, let's say you traded Jalen, the fit with KD and Jabari would be, that is a very tall back line, right? You could have lineups that involve Amen Thompson, Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith, and Alperen Şengün. That's 6'7" and up, and a lot of length with a lot of rim pressure coming from both Amen and Şengün. A lot of isolation scoring coming from KD and Şengün. So there's a lot. That versatility is just nuts, right? That versatility is just nuts. The problem with that lineup for me is, or that level of the team is that, to me, you would have to make a secondary trade to fill in the gap that Jalen's going to leave, right? Because Jalen provides us a certain thing that nobody else on the team does. His ability and his athleticism to be able to take advantage of the defense in the pick and roll, get downhill. That is something that, even Cam Whitmore doesn't play in the pick and roll, right? He can't read the pick and roll. You don't trust him with the ball in a pick and roll to really do much, right? I'm a big basketball guy. Like, when it comes to just reading the game, I think Jalen struggles in reading the game at the high levels. I think at baseline, he can read the game pretty much league average. But if you're going to put the ball in his hands and force him to read the game against a playoff defense, he's going to suck. I don't think Cam Whitmore can read the game. I haven't seen any indication of it. I'm not saying it's never going to happen. That's just me. I just don't think he can read the game. So what I'm saying is that if Jalen is the one that gets traded and you want to elect to keep Jabari and whoever, Reed Shepard or Cam Whitmore, whoever the Suns are trying to get, then you will have to go get a Quentin Grimes or somebody else that at least has that ability to play in the pick and roll, because I don't trust Fred to do it. I don't think Amen is necessarily that type of player. I think Amen is he can do that. I just think Amen has different things. You want to use him more versatile than just have him on ball. And so it's going to be one of those if and then. If you do this, then this, right? And that was the same thing with the Giannis for Şengün trade rumors that happened earlier in the year. I was telling people, like, yeah, that's cool. Like, yes, if you trade Giannis for Şengün, then you're going to have to remake the team, because Giannis is not a prototypical big. He doesn't do anything a big man does. Giannis doesn't screen. Giannis doesn't roll. He really doesn't, barely rebounds. And so, like, even on defense, he's not going to be your backline defender. He's an off-ball defender. So not only are you going to have to get another center, you're going to need an entire backcourt remake to be able to play with Giannis. And Jalen and Giannis is not a good pairing. That's a terrible 1-2 pairing for a guard and a big. So I was like, you're going to have to upgrade that position. So these things aren't in a vacuum. Like, you can't just take one player, swap him out, and say, like, oh yeah, that's the fix, right? You have to look at it holistically from the point of view of the team. So basically, you have two outcomes, I think, that are realistic. I think one, it's going to be Jalen Green going to a third team, because I don't think the Suns are necessarily that high on him, especially with the overlap with Devin. And I think that probably, in my opinion, I think that is less likely to happen. I think what's probably going to happen, it's going to be one of Jabari or Tari, likely Jabari, another young player, an aggregate of salaries to make it work from the team going, and then KD coming in for that. And it could still go through a third team. I'm not sure what the rules are about him being traded for multiple players. I don't know. However it works, they can figure it out. But I think those are mainly going to be the two options for that trade to happen. What I would prefer is for us to be able to keep Jalen. I'm sorry, if it came down to Jabari and Jalen, I know it's kind of a weird thing. Like, I understand, like, if anybody is low on Jalen Green and wants him traded, I get it. And, those thoughts cross my mind, like, but I still think that the talent is there. I think that have to change his role definition on the team. And especially if you bring in a player like KD, then you can just have Jalen play the role of kind of a secondary two guard to KD as the prominent scorer. We see what Jalen can do in stretches, 2-month-long stretches of just being consistent. And we saw it this season. I love that. His consistency was really there. And I know we want to define a player by one playoff series. I'm not going to do that. I think you have to look at it from a macro view. And in the macro, he's taken strides every single year to improve, especially under Ime Udoka, who they just re-signed. So if we're going to keep the trend of him improving, then I think that is still there. Now, if he is not our closer, that's fine. I still think he provides a lot of value at what he does, and that's why you go get another player, right? That's why I'm not the type to abandon players based on their if they have a glaring weakness. If you're building and constructing a team, you have to be able to supplement that. So the team has a weakness in scoring, right? Obviously, guys are going to get better. Once again, they're so young. Şengün's going to get better, more efficient. Amen is going to get better. Jalen's going to get better. Jabari's going to get better, etc. And then when you supplement some of those things, you bring in a scorer that could help kind of bridge the gap as they are developing out into what you want to do. And I think that's kind of the what the Rockets are trying to look at it from a standpoint of. I think one of the other factors with this is, contractually, you start thinking about if you can get KD on a 2+1 or something like that, or a 1+1. I'm not even sure what the rules are going to be when he turns 38. I think there's certain limit. I think you can only do a 1+1. I mean, you could really look at that, and that kind of gets you out of having to make a commitment on the Jabari Atari class of players, on giving a big contract out, and you free up space for possibly, another star player that's available on the market that you may want to look at and sign. So there's some value there. You have Jalen locked down. So I think personally for me, if I had to pick a starting five, it would be Fred VanVleet. And I'm going to talk, Fred needs to be on the team if you're going to get KD. Even if he's not starting, I don't care. Fred's leadership is so important because KD is not the rah-rah leader type. He's going to lead. He's going to lead by example, work ethic, all that great stuff. But when it comes to motivating your players, challenging them, and being a consistent presence, I'd rather have Fred VanVleet on the team than leaving that up to KD as my vet, because that's a disaster waiting to happen, right? So to me, the Warriors model of KD is the best model of KD, meaning he's there as just rims, bro. Some really nice rims, right? He's just there as some really, really throw, to use Houston slang, some throw rims, right? On a car. Like KD's there as rims. You don't need him to be your engine. He can just score efficiently, get buckets, close out games for you, make big shots, do all the stuff that you want from a closer without having to rely on him to carry your team. And just like the Golden State Warriors, when they had him on there, he was just, all right, bro, fourth quarter, here, bro, go do your stuff, right? We'll get you there. You just close it out. You put this team away. And I think for the Rockets, if they can get that from him, with what we are currently, to me, at baseline, 50-plus win team, playoff contender, I think a lot of matchups that we could have got, we would have won. I think Golden State, I told y'all, this is probably the worst matchup. But you get a vet like that to come in, to me, it's a done deal, right? You're going to get advanced second conference finals. Like, that should be the expectations for the Rockets if they're able to do them. I don't know what it's going to turn out to be. I think right now, the stalemate you're seeing, you got Miami, Houston, and San Antonio, and Minnesota kind of in the wings. I think to me, the serious teams in this, because I think San Antonio's already indicated that they're not really looking at KD. So I'm going to take them out the mix. I think it's Miami and Houston, right? We have the assets. So we're sitting pretty right now when it comes to this. It really comes down to what does the market offer and what is Houston's limit on what they want to up the ante to. So that's all you have to do is just wait. Right now, Houston, you start off low, give them a low ball, which I'm sure they did, some crazy Jock Landale and Tate and picks, something stupid like that. And then you're just waiting to see like whatever the market does, because ultimately we own their draft picks. We have the young assets and players. We have the future draft picks as well. And you have to set a marker for where you think KD's value is. And if you're able to outbid somebody by getting to your marker or getting below it, you pull the trigger. If it gets too expensive, you walk away, because he's not the end all be all for the Rockets, right? There's a high chance they just run it back, and that is totally fine. That's totally fine for running back, because you assume your players get better, right? You could still make lower end moves by bringing in other role players that are able to supplement some of your weaknesses, like shooting and shot creation and ball handling. You could make those moves to get those players in, and you expect many leaps from the Amen Thompsons, the Şengüns of the world, to improve and get better at some of the things they struggled at. You expect Jalen to improve on some of those things, and if you keep everybody together, who knows what Jabari turns into? Maybe he's 60% of what Kevin Durant is, and at his age, maybe that's better. Maybe you get him on a cheap contract and still are able to sign a player in the future that is not Kevin Durant. That's a better, younger version. So there's multiple outcomes. I just don't think this is a situation where Rockets fans should be having any type of anxiety about. Regardless of which route they take, it doesn't disturb the core of this team, right? Because that's one of the benefits of drafting so many good players is that you still have your identity and your core if these players are swapped out, because it just gives you more variability in which route you want to take to get there, right? And that's ultimately what you want to do as a team, is give yourself opportunities to win as much as possible. And I think that they're doing that. And I trust that they're going to make the right decision, whatever that is. And, you know, as long as the core is together, as long as we have our coach and the same identity we have, I think ultimately we're going to be a better off team after this summer, regardless, even if they run it back, just because you expect development. So, yeah, that's my take on that. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, I know the draft is in like a week. So I expect a decision to be made either by the field, by the Heat or the Rockets between that time. If I had to guess, I would say KD is a Rocket if the Rockets want it to happen. Like, he can be a Rocket if the Rockets want it to happen. He wants to come here. We have the assets. That's pretty much all you need. At this point, it just comes down to what the counter offers are out there in the NBA and whether the Rockets want to match those offers or surpass those offers. And if those offers are too rich for them, and they'll make that decision. I think they'll make a wise decision. I do say that, you know, there are some ties to the Rockets and Kevin Durant with Coach Royale Ivy on the staff. He's known KD since KD was in, I think they overlapped each other at UT. Obviously, Ime Udoka is familiar with Kevin Durant through Brooklyn, Team USA, etc. And so I think they have pretty good relationships. KD's worked out with several of our players, ironically, the ones they want to trade him for. And yeah, so there's some ties there. The Miami ties, I really don't know what the ties are with Miami. I think they're just banking on Miami as a city and the culture. But, you know, if the Rockets want to do this, they can, and we'll see whether they land him this summer. I think, to me, I want him on the team, because that makes us honestly a championship contender immediately. Because you have the youth, you have I haven't even gotten to I'll probably talk about the basketball stuff. I'm not going to waste my breath on that until we get him. Once we get him, we'll talk about the basketball stuff. But y'all let me know. Y'all let me know in the comments and in the chat, what is the outcome that you want to see? Do you want to get KD, and if you do want him on the team, who are you willing to part ways with? Are you going with the Jabari or Tari and Reed or Cam package? Is it Jalen and salary? Where do you stand on that? Let me know in the comments and in the chat. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button. Keep rocking with the Chop Shop. I'm going to keep dropping that fire.